my first home for 3 years. I lived on Pataka Road and have stewarded Green Mountain for 22 years now. We lost 3 homes across the street in the farm lots, but we still actually had our house in Leilani. So I didn't have to leave Puna, thank God, and I actually stayed real close to the fountain. Lucky I got to experience it. And I'm hoping that we can all get together and share our stories, and this kind of formulated from social media commentary. We were communicating about the roads being open here down in Kapoho. So there are a lot of different groups of people that I see from different areas of our lower Kapoho area that right now have to access this only route, the Government Beach Road, through Hawaiian beaches. I'm also representing several people that had to work today. Some of the people from the farm lots that still have property are still here. I have several friends that live up Kapoho Road that cannot access right now that want me to represent them. Nancy Seafers. There's a whole group of people up there, and they said, please, share for us that to let these people know that we can't get home yet. So Eileen O'Hara is here. She's really going to help. Yay, Eileen! Eileen has been rooting for us and has a significant amount of information that I think it's most important that she shares. I think that we could do one of two things. We could each get 3 minutes to speak with our Lakota talking stick. Yes. and give, or 2 minutes even. It could be quicker. We could try to do this so that everybody gets a real opportunity to speak without anybody else speaking. So I'd like to start out with Eileen O'Hara, and she has more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for gathering here, and there's so much happening in Puna right now in terms of how you are all affected by the recent lava event. What I've been trying to do is to find ways to address that relief, and please understand that as a legislator I have limited options because response for this event is on the administration. And early on, when the administration came, that's Harry Kim, his cabinet, all of the department heads, that's the administration. When they came to us with their first kind of quasi-developed wish list, I won't call it a plan for Puna relief, and presented it to council, there were so many unanswered questions in that alone. But at that point, it became clear that they were not going to work directly with the county council in developing that plan in terms of bringing it to the council for review. And our options as council members were to maybe get involved in some of the committees, subcommittees that were happening. And the one that took off with the most strength was that for replacement housing. There was a committee for temporary housing, and that need was, semi-filled, and we moved on to permanent replacement housing, or at least that's what the county has primarily focused on. Now, as you all know, you're probably housed somewhere, maybe not in your original home, maybe you've found other places. And to me, the real paramount need now is roads. We need to be able to get back to our properties that are isolated. I recently flew with Smiley a couple weeks ago, and our representatives, Joyce and Buenaventura. We did a helicopter flyover of Kapoho to look at some of the alternative accesses and what the condition of 132, and just the condition of all of Kapoho per se. There's a lot of homes out there that are in great condition but inaccessible. This is a great tragedy to see. There's a lot of farmland that has not been inundated, and it's greening up with all the rain we've been having. So, I mean, a few months ago we were seeing all these terrible pictures of completely killed off vegetation and whatnot. It's coming back, folks. So we have probably thousands of acres out there that could be farmed. And a lot of the people who have been displaced, who can't make it to their homes, are small farmers. And then we have the group of people out here behind Noni Farms Road who got cut off from 132, their normal access in. And before the event, it was estimated there were approximately somewhere between 150 and 200 households back in there. That's quite a few, right? And some of those properties did get inundated, but the majority of it still exists back there, and they're now having to come down the old network of roads, some of which is railroad, some are other roads, and come down Cinder Road and join up to the Government Beach Road to get out to civilization, and that's taking somewhere like 45 to 50 minutes where it used to take them 10 minutes to get to Pahoa. And then the folks here along Papaya Farms Road and along the Beach Road, or of course this is their only access in and out at this point in time. And it's also the only access for the cinder pits in Kapoho. And this is an important service that Sanford provides by leasing that land from Lyman. We need the materials. And they've been very courteous. I just came down the beach road from where I live, where it's paved. They're very courteous. They're pulling over. But the condition of the beach road was not done to accommodate up to 50 33 cubic yard trucks a day, along with passenger vehicle traffic, along with pedestrians, along with bicyclists. It was never meant to accommodate that kind of travel. They would like to have a different route, very much. So we initiated a discussion, and that discussion got initiated by the Hawaiian Shores Community Association Board, recognizing that we got these guys traveling along our private road. We privately hold Papio Street, and we gave an agreement to the county that for the emergency, under the emergency declaration, they can use. But when that emergency declaration is lifted, we're not real happy with this situation, and no one in Hawaiian Beach's shores is happy with the 50 cinder trucks rolling through a residential neighborhood. And they're not happy about it either. It adds an hour to their delivery time, and guess what that translates into? Higher prices for cinder. I'm already hearing about this from people who are trying to buy cinder. So we have all of these needs that we have to somehow resolve. And in the short term, I have been advocating at meetings, and Smiley was at the meeting where we invited Sanford, Lyman came, Lono Lyman came, who owns quite a bit of the property.
Lono's right here. This is Lono Lyman.
Lono Lyman, and he owns quite a bit of the property that is what we consider Kapoho. And I've also talked to people in the Chow family, because they own some other portions of, say, Railroad Avenue. I have not reached out to Kamehameha Schools because a chunk of railroad goes across their property.
To Nanavali.
To Nanavali and to Hawaiian Shores, to Kahala Street and Hawaiian Shores. And that may be a little bit of a sticking point, but I don't think it's insurmountable. And then the rest is state. So there's 4 owners of what we referred to as railroad that used to come out right where the old Kapoho village was and circles back in. And so they made a generous offer, or Sanford made a generous offer at the table, saying he would be willing to help recover the bottom mile. And let me back up. There's about 3 miles of 132 that are covered with lava. That's the estimate done by Public Works. And some of that's up at the top, past Lava Tree Park, and to the point where it crossed over the road and went into the Noni Farms area. And then it came back and came down 132 above Green Mountain and just past Four Corners. So those sections add up to about 3 miles. And so there was a generous offer to consider that, and that leaves the other portion in the county's hands.
The lower portion?
The lower portion was the generous offer, but and then the upper portion would be in the county's hands to resolve and to potentially recover. It's not an easy task. We all know what that flow looked like. It gouged a riverbed that in some cases is filled up, in some cases is very steep and deep. It's challenging, and the path of the road, and Lono can speak to this because he's old enough to know about 132 being built originally. It was probably a mammoth task to get that alignment of what we remember as 132, which was a fairly straight shot down to Kapoho. Prior to that, according to Lono, it was a patchwork of little roads, meandering here, meandering there. So it would be lovely to recover as much of that easement and right-of-way as possible, but it requires significant engineering studies at this point. So I would like to advocate, and I am advocating, that the county start looking at those engineering requirements now. Start looking for the funding, because that's another big piece of this. We've already learned that we're not going to get a special session at the state legislature to address Puna's needs. It's going to be folded into the general session, which means at the earliest, if we see any money, it won't be until the middle of next year. We all know what's happening on the mainland with hurricanes Florence and Michael, and forest fires consuming the west, flooding. There's so many disasters hitting this country right now that trying to get a congressional action is going to be even challenging to help us out. So I would like to see government's role in providing the absolute minimum so that we all can get back on our lands, get back to work, and I really trust the private sector to fill in the gaps. It's already happened. You're working neighbor to neighbor to find that access across property when had to. And I was just amazed at how well this community worked together, because we all know each other, and many of us have lived down here for years and years. And it was a wonderful thing to see us all working together to make sure that we were all safe. But trying to get the administration's ear right now has been a little challenging. But we did have a really good meeting, and I would say there was a follow-up meeting later that week with an internal working group that the mayor had called for when he came in to put together a master plan for Puna roads. And so we already have a good plan for Upper Puna, and I want to thank the members of the road connectivity group under the Puna CDP who worked tirelessly for 2 years. Marlene Hapai, Patty Pinto are part of that group. And they came up with a really good plan for connectivity in Upper Puna, which we confirmed if we did some of the top priority connections, we would have avoided some of the situations that happened when Hurricane Lane hit us. Because that's where the flooding is. It's more in Upper Puna. Down here we're not so subject to the flooding issues, except on 130. Anyway, won't go there. So we have that plan, and now the work needs to be done for the Lower Puna. We had been working it for a year, and a lot of the work that we did, we have to go back and redo because the roads aren't there anymore. So I don't think, for instance, it's smart at this time to advocate for the replacement of Poiki Road. It was a county road. It was a lovely drive. It was kind of dangerous, and it really didn't provide safe access down to Poiki for things like commercial fishers or whatnot, if we should ever recover Poiki or create another boat ramp. So I can't really advocate for the county spending money on that right now, but there are ways, because there's old roads, for them to get across, if we recovered 132, to get across and access some of those properties. Again, some of those are isolated between lobes of lava and they're still there. I was just communicating with a friend who lived next to PGV, under PGV. She has a beautiful exhibit, by the way, at the Wailoa Center in Hilo on, it's the Year of the Dog. She's a professional photographer, and she was targeting the Year of the Dog. And then she has dogs. We play agility together. And they had to evacuate their farm, their 9-acre farm. And so she tells the story of evacuating with animals. It's quite a good photographic journalist piece, so you might want to step in there. It's there until October 26th. And the reason I'm saying that is even they could get back to their land. The land was not inundated. Their house unfortunately burned in that brush fire the last week before Fissure 8 died. There was that brush fire that took out a bunch of homes. They lost their home to that. But their land is still there. they could, for instance, get in off of the old right-of-way to Puna Geothermal, and quite a few properties in there. So there is some network of older roads and easements that could be utilized to get people back into the upper portion of Poiki that's now shut off. But to get into the area that Smiley referred to, like where Nancy Seifers lives and Kathy Marchesa and whatnot, the other side of 132.
Halekamahina, Felicia.
Yeah, lots of folks and lots of houses, and they're in such good shape. We pretty much need to recover 132. And if we're ever going to get rid of this problem in the long term, the truck problem, we've got to recover 132, which was a county road. In the short term, I was hoping that the county would look at a couple things. One is the railroad right-of-way, and Lyman is a player in that, as is Chow, and Kamehameha Schools, KSBE, and the state. They could be going after those rights-of-ways in perpetuity now and opening that up, and it empties into Ke'au Road in Nanavali, which is a county-controlled or maintained road, county-owned road, and it would open up into Kahala Street in Hawaiian Beach's shores. That agreement needs to still be worked out with Hawaiian Shores because they do privately hold the road, but that's a possibility too. Okay, I'll just finish before taking questions. So that's one thing I was advocating for in the short term because there's no lava inundation. They could be doing this now. The other would be, as long as we're using the government beach road, asking for a realignment of the quarter-mile of the government beach road at the tail end, which goes through what we now refer to as Honolulu Landing. For those who've lived here a long time, and I used to live in Wawa for 30 years, Honolulu Landing is suspect in emergencies, meaning I've been cut off by tsunami alerts where the road is closed, and also hurricane weather, high surf has thrown up boulders the size of Volkswagens, and you're trying to get out, you cannot. It has been called an emergency road forever, and Greg can confirm that, but in some emergencies, it did not serve us. And now that we have all of this population with that as the only bloody access, I think we need to be safe down here. So I'm advocating for realignment. It would bring it in to Coastal Puna Parkway in Hawaiian Shores, which is an 80-foot right-of-way, a bigger right-of-way than Papio Street. It would bring it up out of Honolulu Landing, because there's high land up behind. The property is owned by a family that's owned it since 1980. I've communicated with them. They're in North Carolina. And they would be happy to attempt to provide that right-of-way across their property, provided it doesn't cost them anything, and the county would initiate and take care of that. And then they would have to build that quarter-mile of road.
Which would take them out of Hawaiian beaches,
Hawaiian Shores.
Hawaiian Shores.
Yeah, we'd take them out of Hawaiian Shores, meeting up with Coastal Puna Parkway. And then it would meet the government beach road at the top of the hill where it comes out of Honolulu Landing, where unfortunately we just had a recent incident. That's where the murder occurred. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's right about the high point, right? So that's another thing that the county could do in the short term to make us all safer and provide a little better access. But in the long term, there's really no other option but to reestablish a roadway like 132. So that's where we stand now, and I have a resolution, Resolution 732, that will be coming to council on November 1st to the Public Works Committee. And I don't have a time yet. We never have a time until a week out from the meetings. I'm sorry about that, but I will put all this out on social media, on my Facebook page. And I also send out to the email list that I have in my office, 500-600 people. Yet still, just keep an eye out for the time of that meeting, because we need a lot of testimony. And I will tell you that 2 days ago, there was a testimony on Bill 108. It's the short-term vacation rental bill. And the outpouring of testimony from the Puna district may have shifted the sentiment a bit. We aren't there yet, and I'm going to have to beg you all to come out again November 2nd, when it hits council, because I'm going to attempt to do an amendment on the implementation timeline and provide a grace period for that bill being implemented in the Puna district. I can try. I don't know if it'll be successful. A lot of the measures I'm putting out for Puna haven't been successful, and so I can try. But your voices were heard, and so there was kind of a shift of sentiment. People were starting to realize that Puna actually supports short-term vacation rentals where other districts may not. And unfortunately, this bill was written primarily for those districts that are not supporting them, and hotels. And hotels, but that's a whole other thing. But there are some bad party houses out there that have unfortunately set a nasty tone in certain districts. So the council, and I agree, there needs to be a regulation on short-term vacation rentals. I just don't feel this bill is properly addressing that. But I will make an attempt to try to keep Puna on the right track because of the economic development issues it addresses. It'll be really difficult to recover without allowing us to create new short-term vacation rentals in Puna. And jobs, yeah, all of the above. So I'm going to make an attempt. That'll be on November 2nd. But yeah, 732 will come up to council in the Public Works Committee on November 1, and I will put it out in advance and the time and everything, and I'll ask for your support. And that's just the start of the discussion. From here on, can I pass this in?
Mahalo.
Thank you, everyone.
Puna, Pahoa area is severely struggling economically. So I think that just speaking with the ladies at Jungle Love and speaking with the Muku'u market farmers, all saying, hey, do you know of another market? I lost my market in Kapoho. We've lost 400 bed and breakfasts, or give or take, that facilitated a lot of jobs for our community. So I'm all in support of trying to recover what has been lost and creating safety. I know some of the issues that first of all, the Hawaiian Beaches people are dealing with all of you guys now having to access through their properties. And I'm not sure, in Wawa, I personally liked to take the Kapoho route, with the exception of the days that I felt like I wanted to check out the beautiful ocean spot and then just deal with Hawaiian beaches. So I think that it would be excellent for the Wawa people to have and the people that are having to travel through Cinder Road, to have a very safe, and alternate route back into Pahoa town. And at this point now, I have a lot of neighbors that lived past Four Corners in Route 137 that are not paying any property taxes. So I think one thing is really important to address is right now, as the county is trying to mark our properties as invaluable, we need to really fight to make sure that we share with them that no, these properties hold deep, significant value to us. I just wanted to do about a minute per person, so I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I like to see people have access to their properties. It's a must, and I want to work towards that. I'm also wanting to work towards it in a way that it's not impacting other people who haven't been affected by the lava flow, as is happening at the moment with Wawa and Hawaiian Beaches. There's a lot of impact on people living here. So I want to see that change, and I want to see it done in a way that we are all able to move forward and try and reclaim our lives, whatever that may be in the future.
I'm Greg, lived in Wa'a now for 41 years. To me, this is the best place in the world to live. I've been on all the other islands. This is the best. I got a farm with a couple of rentals. I rent to some really good people. I grow food. I love this peaceful, quiet, rural area, and I'd like to see it stay the same in perpetuity. At the same time, I could have been in the position that a lot of the folks are that are isolated, and I would want to go home so bad and hopefully rebuild. But, and I'm 100%, you know, online you get mischaracterized. I'm 100% for everyone getting back to their places, their isolated places. But what I don't want, and I've let Smiley and our representative know, I don't want 500 to 1,000 tourist rental cars going through here daily, which is what the planning committee says. For what it's worth, I read it online. That will be the amount of cars in Lower Puna once the Y is opened for viewing. That's a huge amount. That's a huge amount, and it would ultimately destroy the way of life we have down here. I grew up on Oahu, in Kailua, Oahu. Another beautiful, gorgeous place, basically, in my estimation, ruined because of rampant development and rampant tourism. And I don't want to see the same thing happen down here. What can be done from my perspective, and just from looking at the maps like everyone else has, I'm sure, is that there's other numerous accesses to get to these isolated places, including Railroad Avenue. So for those people who have been leading the charge, Smiley and Joy and Eileen, yeah, I was. Thank you for taking the leadership position and making this happen and getting those folks the access, but at the same time, please craft a way that does not destroy this unique, gorgeous area that we all live in. Please be very careful. There's no place like this in the world as far as I'm concerned. I want to see it stay that way.
Dennis, did you want to talk?
My name is Listen, and I lived on Noni Farm Road. Right now I'm living on Wawa, and I just want to echo what Greg just said. I've lived in several places where I've watched rampant development ruin some very sacred places that will never recover. And that's a big part of why I live in this area. I really love this land tremendously, and it's a very sacred place, and I hope that we can protect it and keep it that way. I really want to support getting railroad opened, and I like what Greg said about there being other, railroad is a good way from what I'm seeing on this map to get into a lot of those areas, and I hadn't thought of that before. I've been feeling really unsafe along Wawa as I drive along it. The cinder trucks have been really nice, but there's been a lot of people who look like tourists to me, people I don't recognize, driving really fast, not pulling over, making me have to pull over into a pothole, and it's dangerous. So I would like to see us, first of all, focus on getting the potholes on the side of the road fixed so we can have some immediate safety, getting some speed bumps in so that people can't fly up and down the road so fast. And yeah, definitely opening railroad would help get the cinder trucks off, which would help the potholes to not get so bad so quickly. And the other thing I wanted to say was that when I was having to evacuate Noni Farm Road and with my daughter and looking for a place to live, I had a really hard time, and I knew of many empty cabins and buildings along Wawa and Pakaka and Satellite, and it broke my heart that people did not open their homes to locals and instead said, no, I'd rather do Airbnb because it's more lucrative. And that is something that I just really hope we can keep in mind, that we're a community, we're a small, tight-knit community, and it'd be great if we help each other out and work together. So thank you guys for organizing this meeting.
More?
No, it's okay.
All right.
That's right.
I'm Lisa Roach, this is my daughter Halsey. We live near the geothermal, and thanks for all addressing the concerns that I have too. I'd like to see 132 go in, of course. And in the meantime, you know, I just want to, since I have this stick, say, I think we should be working on our fire ant population if we can, since we have such a good, like, isolated, defensible barricades in there. I'm going back with Tango on a regular basis and treating, because they did recur. For a while they were gone. But a lot of natives are recovering, and a lot of invasives are too, so it seems like the invasives were set back a lot, and I think we should capitalize. While we're waiting for the roads, if you can get in any way. I'm going to try to take...
Have you been landing by helicopter?
Yeah,
And what
right
are
at
the
my
expen-
land,
what-
right at
what
my
it-
land,
What's the expense of you doing one trip?
$100 round trip with Dave Okita. And he's been wonderful. He's been sling loading supplies in for people who are staying longer. I only have time to stay a few days. And he's brought people's riding lawnmowers in, gas, supplies, water, food, and helping people kind of reclaim, you know, like possession of their land, because it's going crazy, the growth. It's rampant. 6 feet elephant grass again as of 2 weeks ago. So even make that 7 or 8 feet now. Yeah. So anyway, I just keep trying to go back as much as I can, and my house burned down, but my land is still there. Mine was also like, yeah, the brush fire. Yeah. But I'll rebuild when the road comes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, I'm Michael Burt, and I've been living here for about 10 years, and it's the best place I've ever lived, and I'm very appreciative of having this opportunity to live here and to know all of you. And thank Michelle for hosting this beautiful gathering, and looking forward to working together with all of you to help to create this community. And I'm honored to be here.
Chitta. I've lived on Papaya Farms Road for almost 30 years, and I think it's great that we're all meeting together here.
Hi, I'm Dean Kale. I live halfway between Sadillac and Takaka in Valva. I like Eileen's comment about opening the Puna Parkway, wide road just above Honolulu Landing. I question whether this will mean switching to it, making this a 2-lane road.
No.
It doesn't? Okay, that was mentioned on the email. I was concerned about that. The police put in signs saying 15 miles an hour. The police go 45. So do all the National Guard cars and all the tourists. The trucks have been reasonable, except they're using jake brake, which can be made illegal if you have the right people asking questions. There are incredible number of trucks. Anything that'll get them on a different route, I'm all for it, and I'm all for people getting back to their homes. I don't like to see this being a direct road to any beach. It's wonderful the way it is cut. I think there are other ways to Pawiki Road. If that's not on TV, they said that's the one they plan to open first. But if that's not true, any way to get people to their homes is good by me. Okay, thank you.
We probably use the route more than any of you. We're at the end of Noni Farms Road, a mile and .2 in. When Eileen was talking about the time and the statistics, that's my time and my statistics. We travel, I have grandchildren, my son and my daughter-in-law have the same, they're children. So twice a day, we're going and taking them to and from school. So that means for us, coming down Noni Farm Road, coming down Railroad, coming down Cinder, coming down Government Beach, and then into town. 40 minutes to the roundabout. We want Railroad open. I would love to not have to travel up and down this road. I've had all the good experiences and the bad experiences with people on this road. But you mentioned just slightly about the incident the other day, and I'm on the, I get the police notices. And they say, Government Beach Road is closed. Please use the alternate route of railroad. And I read that and I said, oh, did they open the gates for us? Of course not. And by the time you got to the incident, you're already at the top of Government Beach Road. You know, I think about if something happened to any of us where we are, they would die. If they really had some kind of major issue of some sort, they would die by the time anybody got to us. So for us, it's really, really important that railroad is open. We can't even get to the 132 at the moment. That's a real, you know, so I'd like to see it open for other people. I would like to believe that eventually we may cut back through to the 132. I would love that. But I think all of us need to think about everybody here. And, you know, we all live in a rural area because that's where we want to be. But we need to be realistic about how long this is going to take. And I think that we need to be tolerant of that. And we need to really think about what it means for the people that have to drive what we do. From Guy Yoga Gardens, other people that are on Norman Farms Road, or even a little bit farther in a sense because they're in the coulee behind us.
It's a school bus.
What?
School bus, would that help you?
No.
No.
How would, school bus could never get up Noni Farm Road.
I mean, not in the current configuration.
No,
But even
no.
on paved roads, they couldn't deliver mail and there'd be no school bus.
We've never had school buses along the Government Beach Road either.
Yeah.
No, never did, but
No.
I know a lot of people who are out every day, run back and forth.
Did we get skipped? Maybe did you?
I passed.
I've got a request, but I'm going to say a few words anyway. Yeah, I'm Hawkeye. I've lived on Puna Farms Road for many, many years, and I know a lot of you guys already. I'd just like to thank Eileen and Smiley and everybody else. At one time, Bishop Estates wanted to make this 2 lanes for their papaya trucks from their lease land down here. And a lot of the people that are here today were here at those meetings, and we managed to stop them. 137 does cut through a tsunami zone, so that's a big thing that, you know, we have to remember. And we managed to preserve this, you know, as a protected mango grove. The sign's down there, but we should put the sign down there again. But anyway, yeah, you know, community power, and, you know, the thing about Hawaii, you know, you can do a lot if you get together. I mean, we stopped the spaceport in Kau, you know, we were able to ameliorate geothermal a little bit, you know, all these things. So, you know, it's important to stick together and, you know, fight for what you believe in.
I agree with everything that Greg and Hawkeye said, and because we spent 20 years trying to preserve this road and the area around it, and to keep it, you know, to keep it the way it is. And a lot of people worked on that, and I agree with getting the railroad open again, as well as getting people to their land and not to be repaid. So.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, and I live halfway on the Government Beach Road. When they put this new road in, they took, it was really fast, because they had this special truck that did it, and they were supposed to come back and do the sides, and they never finished that, and that should have been fast too.
No, we should have.
So I wish they would come back and finish it, because the rain is really tearing up the sides, and we're going to have some trouble with people's cars getting messed up, if not accidents. Is that getting done?
Yeah,
No?
I punched it off.
So, I haven't called, but I was thinking of calling and wondering why they didn't, because that should be a fast fix. And at least then, you know, we'll have a safe, a little bit wider road until they figure out what else they want to do. And I wish they would do something with railroad. I don't know why it's closed half the time. It's not even fit for taking care of any kind of disaster. We should have a beach road, running road, and one even higher. This is ridiculous, having to say, oh, you know, we're going to have one or the other. And I don't know the terrain, but isn't there some ways out in Nana Valley so some people, instead of driving down here, can drive that way? And
Not until railroad's open. You have to open railroads.
That's what I mean, so I don't know why the county doesn't, because that's, they fixed
I
it
think
already, so I
because
think
of
that's,
Bishop Estates and the schools.
well, I thought the county was just not doing it because
No,
they
no, no,
didn't
no.
want to do it.
No,
Okay.
it's
So, I mean, I feel for the people who can't get to their homes, and it would be nice if some quick little fixes can get done with, I don't know, some kind of temporary roads while they're working on the big, because if you leave it out to government, look what happened on the flow a long time ago. It took them, what, how many years? They finally built this beautiful house development place, and everybody's in their homes already, so nobody is going to go down there. And if we don't watch out, they're going to do the same thing now. So anyway, I'm encouraging just little fixes, you know, with people, the private people that can help with opening roads when they see those that know more about this landscape back here. I only know about road. Thank you.
Aloha, Keakua. My name is Hoku Kalani Mehanua. Just sitting here, I saw the trucks passing through, and what it's mean is for everybody that is living here on this Aina, on this precious land. And Smiley and I are pretty close. My daughter and actually gave me the beautiful land that I lived on, which the lava backed up and came over on July the 10th. So we all have our personal stories, and I'm still working with FEMA because, of course, my house was unconventional like most of you. So unless I owned the property or like, so without 132, the inspector could not even go up to look at the CCI and see what was going on. I don't know if there are quick fixes, but I know that we should really speak in that first is first, right? What is first? What is the main thing first? What can we do so you're embedding but not inhibiting and not hurting or hindering any of the beautiful Aina, like Greg was saying. So we are Ohana, we're strong in that sacred way. And it's great to have a meeting with all the Ohana and what is first in this sacred way. Oh.
I'm Jason. I live in Kim Domain, which is probably the most secluded on Million Farms Road. It does take me over 50 minutes to get into Kahoa. I've been advocating for railroads since they started dozing. They put over 50 loads of cinder on that road. It's even more beautiful than this because it hasn't been driven on or anything. It's actually a really nice road. I've driven it all the way up to close to Nana Valley where the papaya fields are. I believe a lot of those papaya farmers back there don't want the traffic. I also know the owner of Hawaii Forest and Trail. They work with DLNR and Kamehameha School Bishop on a regular because they cross their property on a regular. It's possible. I know Lono has policies on insurance, liability. I believe that could be a possibility of taking out a large insurance policy on their property so that we can access that road, whether through Nana Valley or Hawaiian Shores. I have personally walked over Noni Farms Road to 132. It took me 15 minutes by foot. I'm pretty agile on the lava. They dozed right through the 1960 flow down here, right through the lava river, right before you get to where it's cut off. If you look out, you can see lava bergs, you can see the shape of the river. The road goes right through it. It's very possible. In Kindo, Maine, we have a dozer. He's $200 an hour. We've already put in roads to the people that got inundated so that they can either rebuild or start planting, whatever they so choose. This is very possible. If the county isn't willing to do these things, I think they just need to step out of the way and let us do it. Noni Farms Road is privately owned. It's a TMK for sale. Not that I want all these people coming down our road either, but if it's a temporary solution, I think it needs to be done immediately. These people need to get back to their homes. I've seen crops of noni just going to waste. His papaya fields are starting to come back. People need to get back to their homes immediately.
And the pigs are running rampant.
And yes, the little kapukas, they're quadrupling. I mean, it's getting out of control. So I don't want to take too much more time, but I think this is a very good possibility of getting people back to their homes.
My name is Michelle and I live here. And I fully support restoring roads to people's homes. I think that's a priority. If any of us, we were all so close, that would be our main objective, and the presence in Puna will support what Puna will be. So I think that's the first priority. For me, the Sanford trucks, most of them have been very courteous, but nobody goes 15 miles an hour, and I seem to have, and right in front of us seems to be the straightest way, so we have people doing their, drag racing down there sometime, and there are mango trees here. By the way, the signs are not there at the beginning of Mango Grove on either side, so they need to be replaced. But the county originally said that there was going to be the sides at the road and that there was going to be speed bumps, from my understanding. And I'm in support of speed bumps because people fly down here at 60 miles an hour. We poke our heads out between the mango trees, look left, look right, look left, boom, there's somebody there. And many times there's almost been an accident, especially if there's tourists. The Sanford trucks, or Sanford, sometimes it seems they hire out different contractors, because some trucks will come down here and the whole way, beep, 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 all the way down Beach Road, they'll be honking their horns. Also going in and out, I see that there's holes where the shoulders are crumbling, and there's people who've had flat tires. There's people even on this land, and we have long-term residents here who have had flat tires. So I think that needs to be restored.
Hello, my name is Tom Gaggy. I own property on Government Beach Road. It's interesting listening to all of you. It's great to see all of you. I only know a few. But it's an interesting dynamic that's going on here. Many are concerned about safety, and then the roads are not safe. Safe roads are bigger roads. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the way that it is. And so we can't have it both ways. The other thing that I stress is that we are not forever, and everything changes. So if we really want, in my opinion, if we really want to have a positive impact here, then this early on, we're going to design how the future is going to be. It is not going to stay the same. That's not going to be the case. Unless it becomes a park, it's not going to stay the same. Land is being bought rapidly and developed in this area. It's all up and down us, and it's a little bit, I don't understand how it is that everyone here doesn't understand that you being here impacted this area. And why is it okay for you and not for others? That's always been an interesting topic for me. And I guess the last thing I want to say is that about exceptional trees. I want to ask for clarification on that. On the Lama Opona's website, It says that the status of exceptional trees is in legal limbo. That's what it says on the website. And if you look up exceptional trees, it's an advisory board. They don't, it doesn't mean, it's not an endangered tree. It's a special tree, but it's not endangered. So that means that with a reasonable amount for the vast majority of people, public safety, they can cut them down, they can trim them, they can do that. It does.
That's not the case. I don't know where you're
I just took the information off of both of the law that's written for how the advisory board for exceptional trees goes.
We don't even have an arborist advisory board right now.
There's one representative for a nonprofit group in Hilo that
But
is
that's not the...
understood, but there's a law.
Can I
Go ahead.
inform you? Because I actually wrote the
Okay,
code.
it's 58 something, I wish I
We
had
have
that.
cinder blocks and boxes on my desk because it hadn't been active for 6 or 8 years. And so the mayor appoints the new board. I go walking in, and Renee Siracusa, who had been appointed the representative for the Puna district at that time, lays in front of me an application to put these mango trees in exceptional tree status. This is in the county code. Forgive me if I don't remember the chapter.
It's 58.
It's chapter 17 or something. It's in the county code, so all of this is codified. They are protected.
The very first line under their thing is exceptional trees, law status is in legal limbo. I didn't make it up, please do check.
I will talk to Renee.
Which seems a little contradictory to something that seems so clear to you. And then I would just suggest, nothing stays the same. If we have an input here, then, and it's inevitably, the dirty word, two-lane road, if it inevitably gets there, then wouldn't it be nice that you had the input to have it done well, instead of making believe that you can stop. It's not going to happen. It never has.
So Tom, let me make it, or would you make it clear for me, you are promoting a two-lane road down here, cutting down all the mango trees.
I'm not promoting that, Greg. What I'm promoting is that we actively
Greg and Tom, I think we need to continue passing this dish.
I just want to be actively involved
Yeah.
in the positive input of the change that is inevitable.
Aloha, my name is Milo. I've lived in Hawaii for 9 years. I was evacuated from Po'iki, and I'm honored to be allowed to speak and be allowed in your community. I'd like to echo the sentiments of the people that want to keep this area country. And I don't think that cutting down the mango trees would be progress. I think that the word that you used of what happened to Oahu was that it was ruined. And that's, I know that I'll lose a lot of the audience by using that word. It's a strong word. But I think that not only the Puna district and the east side is at stake, but the whole planet is at stake. And from my research, one of the main problems is population control, that the population is just much too large to be sustainable. And so my concern is about the pollution footprint. I'm concerned about what the roads are made out of. Is it foreign oil? How many wars were caused by that? More cars driven. I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of questions. So please think about that in your planning. Thank you.
I feel like we don't have to worry so much about this road if in fact we fix 132. I believe with everything I have that 132 has to be reclaimed, and I believe that Railroad Road needs to be reclaimed as well, because honestly, I've only been up Railroad Road a certain amount, and then it becomes jungle and I don't even know where we're going, you know. So I personally feel like Railroad, of course, needs to be fixed, but the ultimate help would be to have 132. It would help all the folks. There's so many people who I know and love who can't get to their homes. It would be the connection. It's all about us being connected as a community, and I really believe that 132 would be the answer to our dreams. Then this road's not going to get as much bothersome traffic. If people can go, I'm going to take 132. I'm not going to be driving up and down this road. It's lovely. It's gorgeous. I live on it. But if I want to go to Pahoa, I just want to get it over with. You know, I just want to go and come back and be home. And so I really, really, really believe that if there's anything we should all put our energy into is getting 132 opened again for all the human beings that all come on the veins of all the little roads that go off 132. I think it's absolutely imperative we do that. And of course, Railroad Road is very important because we have no other alternate route at this point. And from what I understand about Railroad Road, maybe it might not be, I don't know, might not be so hard to open it up. Is there a gate? I don't even know.
It's been
Oh, see, I've never been that far. When they opened it back in the day, when the last lava flow, my husband Andy and I, we kept saying, we should take that road, we should see it. And we never, and then they closed it again. Damn it, we missed it. We missed our shot. So I don't really know what it's like up there, but I believe if that's another alternate route, absolutely we should get in. I want all my friends, family who live in that hui up there to have an easier access. And I trust that this road will be protected. I love it. I sincerely love it. It was a major shock when it got paved. I don't mind that it's paved at this point. I think it's good. But the bottom line is, I feel like if we can fix 132, we're not going to have all this traffic. So let's just get 132 fixed. And I just want to close with my deepest thanks to you, Eileen, for all your work. And I know how hard it is, and you keep going.
An agreement with Pat, we've discussed it many times, 132 would be the answer. Railroad's very confusing with all the private owners and trying to get through there, so that is the focus. As far as change is concerned, I'm kind of leaning with Tom a little bit here. I mean, if we didn't want things to change, we moved down here in 1980 at the bottom of Papaya Farms Road, so if it hadn't changed since then it would really be something. We've had to accept a lot of change, and I'm not sure I understand Greg's point about a couple of thousand cars driving down here if they open up the fork up at Powiki.
Yeah.
If it was open all the way to Four Corners, it would be the perfect circle route, and this would be called the scenic road. They come down from up above, check out the attractions, which would be the Black Sand Beach and whatever Smiley is going to do with Kapol Crater. And turn left here and go through here. The like I said, I think it was the County Planning Department or Research and Development that said they expect 500 to 1,000 rental cars per day to do a transit to come in this area. So if somehow, God forbid, Four Corners is open to everyone, that's what would happen.
God bless it.
And then there would be real estate boom, mansions building, bed and breakfast. It would change the entire character.
I would really open up access for us to all go to the ocean, which I believe that coastline was a big reason why a lot of us moved down here as well.
Yeah, 132 would allow that.
Yeah, for us as well, the Four
Yeah.
Corners. So, you know, you can't have it both ways in a certain sense. And I'm against speed bumps. Speed bumps. And I'd also like to thank Eileen, and we're going to miss you, honey.
I'm still here.
Yes, we are.
Don't leave us.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm on Government Beach near Papaya Farms. I've only lived here a couple of years, so I probably shouldn't have a whole lot of input, but I agree very much about reopening 132. And I despise the idea of making this 2 lanes to the depths of my being. I thought it was great as a gravel road. It kind of naturally slowed everybody down because they didn't want to wreck their cars. Thank you.
Nancy Wood, and I live next driveway down on the other side of the road, and I love it here, and I'm so thankful for all the work people did to save our mango trees. I just love looking at them every single day, and I liked the road when it was gravel. It was naturally slow, and I could do that. And that's, when I moved out here, that's what I was happy to do. Speed bumps are horrible. If they did have to fix the shoulder of this, they would need to do something to slow people down, and then we would have to put speed bumps for safety. But as far as I'm concerned, if there had to be a speed bump, it would be like one of those really small, low ones where people wouldn't wreck their cars on them if they mistakenly sped over it. But unpaving it would also be fine with me. So I agree with Pat, Andy, and Mary now. Everything that they said, they took the words right out of my mouth. I can't wait till they open the highway so we can get to Pahoa in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
And I'm not at all worried about a lot of cars coming through this way, especially if they don't improve the road. All right.
Good point. I'm Deb Smith, and my husband is Stan, hiding back there. So we're one of the handful of people left in Pahoa farm lots. We have an acre left out of 5. We lost everything else, but we still have fruit trees and a greenhouse, and we want to go back on it. And ideally 132 would be the best choice. I don't really want to have to drive this. We're living up in North Kohala right now. That's where we found a place to caretake and live. So we wanted our voices heard today and make sure that we're included in this. And we have a lot of other access issues. I mean, Lighthouse Road would be our best choice, but then we've got to find egress off of that. So getting 132 is our first option, and then we can work on the rest and hopefully go back and rebuild someday. And your son
So
Josh.
you're Deb. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And Josh.
Yeah, Josh would love to be able to get me. He walks back there every few weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
And he still has some on.
He's got a small.
He's got a sliver in the corner.
He's got a sliver, but he came back, him and Nani, full of pumpkins the other day.
Sweet.
You know, I mean.
They're agile.
Could put it to
You made that hike with your son. I'm not agile enough for this lava. But
I haven't done it yet myself.
I have land left.
Okay. What's your name?
William Crook, Dave, they call me Doc, all sorts of shit. They call me ass, whatever. I want to get through. I have my 89-year-old mother's Ohana still stands. Every bit of her possessions are there. I have vehicles there. I have a full barn there. I have greenhouses there.
Where are we talking?
I'm at the end of Ililani.
Farm lots.
Farm lots. I'm on the board of directors for that. Anyway,
Open it up.
I won't go there about that, but I need access. I need access now. There's vandalism going on. I have pictures to prove people rifling through stuff. Stuff's missing. It's. I'm also the caretaker for the very last property. This is a wonderful woman. This isn't as big as my normal stick. But 132, hey, that'd be great. I rent right down over here on Papaya right now. It's a nice community. I don't like the trucks going by. I would hate to see this. But when I lived over there, same reason that you guys like here. You don't want the tourists coming in. I was at the end of the cul-de-sac, second to last property. I was buying the last property. I don't want to see the tourists. I want my peace and my fruit trees, my greenhouses. I'm there. But I need to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to see anything ruined, but 132 open, you're not gonna have, I never ever came down this road in 5 years that I lived there while 132 was open. The only time I've been down this road was to get out to my property, put a backpack on, hike across crumbling lava on Mr. Loman's around the cemetery and cutting across, and I tried to do it along this new stuff, and I have gashes. I'm not a ballet dancer. Walking on razor blades is not my stuff. You say you have people $200 an hour, I got equipment, all we gotta do is pay for gas.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
We
should have access, we could put gates, we could do whatever the hell we want. County roads, going. I know Mr. Lyman here has big concerns of sacred grounds. I've had communications with him. Very nice man. Except he won't let me do what I want to do. Which is fine. I mean, you know, there's other alternatives. I'm ready right now to blast a path wherever anybody wants to go. Let's put up gates. If they're worried about it, as soon as they start working on the other roads, we can cover this up. But I need to get into my property. It's been suggested use a helicopter. There's a helicopter on this island that'll pick up automobiles. Tell me where they are. But I like the peace, the tranquility. I love Hawaii. But damn it, I have property there and I want to go.
All right.
So who's going to stop me? Everybody is stopping me from going. All I need is a hello and I'm there. And I will open up whatever we need. I was having fun though. So like, you want to speak next? Anyway, I'm listed on there. We need help, let's do it. But it was kind of cool seeing a 25-foot wall of lava approaching my house while I was inside of it, stuffing a backpack with documents and watching the windows melt. I better get out of here now. Then it stopped after it took my house and there's still stuff left. But 80% of Hawaii's revenue is tourist, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's weigh that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of us depended on it.
Well, Hawaii depends on it.
Were you gonna go next?
Hawaii needs it too.
As soon as they paved this,
Yes.
I said, next is speed bump. And the speed bumps just tear up trucks, equipment, cars, especially the ones in Hawaiian Shores. Those are horrible. So I'm going up on pretty hard way to avoid them because it just destroys everything. And I don't want them here. These trucks are going to be gone soon.
Yeah.
And so will the mass cars because there's nothing here. If you come down here to see the lava, you see one wall and that's it. You see nothing. And I also have, what's going to happen with the highway from Four Corners to Kaho'ula?
Haven't addressed that.
Well,
In
we
this
need to
resolution,
because-
it hasn't been addressed.
And
mean Route
on
137?
and on 132,
We're working on it.
are they going alongside it, or are they going to actually
We
remove
don't
80
know.
feet of
I can't give you
lava?
answers to that. That's why we need to get started now, because that takes a while to resolve.
I mean, they go right along the side of it. and
Well, that's a
put it right-
possibility, and
Or
Mr.
over
Lyman
the
is
top,
here.
yeah.
Like I said, he's familiar with how you align to the best path.
Do you know that answer, Mr. Lyman?
He doesn't have an answer.
No, I know. There's no answer
Nobody has
for
looked
that.
at it. This will take probably 2 years just to get to the point where they could conceive of rebuilding. And by then, the lava will be cool, and it'll be time to rebuild.
And there will be nothing left of our properties over there.
I hear you.
Nothing.
That's why I'm here today, to try and find alternative access in and out of properties. But I'm talking out of turn, so it's your turn.
No, I probably.
I'm Diane Hansen.
The
There's my
loudmouth
partner,
over
Dave.
here is there.
And we live across from Deb and Stan, great neighbors. And I've never been to one of these meetings, but it's really nice to get input from everybody. Everybody's got an opinion, and I like hearing everybody's opinion. and I really want to get back to her. I haven't been able to go into her property because if I fall, I'm in trouble. But I think it would help me with closure, seeing our property. Because we have things that are, of course, like you said, left. Our greenhouses, our barn, a lot of it, you know, our equipment and stuff. And his mother's little Ohana with all her things. So, and I just hope something can happen that we can get a road open to get in, for everybody to get back to the houses.
Hi, Janelle, Hosanna's Organics, Hawaiian Retreat. And I have a mixture of uses on our property. We do have residents. We have people who live there and work the farm with me. And we have some short-term rentals. I'm incredibly amazed and blessed that we're still there. We were on the edge of it for so long. And I just know what we've all gone through with evacuations, and I couldn't imagine. I was in tears so many times, so we all know the pain. For my farm, I represent the guys and my crew and my friends. They want to see the beach. These guys want to see, they want to get out to the ag lots. So somewhere in the mix, you know, we got this beautiful new black sand beach out there. You know, I need to swim, or even just get to the beach. And I do go to Honolulu Landing and hang out and watch the waves a lot. We need so much. We need so much. And I think we need to look at maybe what we can do quickly to alleviate some of the pain. And I know that we got to get these guys into the ag lots. And you know, the Lighthouse Road is in great shape. So all we got to do is get to Lighthouse.
My name is Jenny Diaz, and I'm relatively new here. I'm the first drive on the left on Papaya Farms Road. I've known Janelle for about 4 years, so I moved here so we could grow old and crazy together. I had decided before I came to the meeting that I wasn't going to speak much because I'm blessed to have a place to live. It's the people who are locked out because of the lava, and I truly feel for you. I've been through wildfires in California. So with that, I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. My name is Jenny Perry. Our official address is Holly Kamahina Road. We are just on the other side of the river, so we're on the Noni Farms Road side. And we had some neighbors who allowed us access to our property after we thought we were landlocked. And I really appreciate all they did, and that included Kaikan Mayag for opening up, you know, the tail end here at Papaya Farms Road for so long, letting all of us go up there. And then my next door neighbor, Mike Mosier, he's not able to come today, for letting us go through his MacNut field, cut a hole in his fence, put up our own gate over there. He was finally able to get his sheep back, so now we have to be real careful. But I kind of had a concern. I would like to see 132 open. I think that would be great. Railroad. I'm all for opening railroad. And then how's PGV getting in? What are their plans? And can that tie in with us? They're not going to do that long term, though.
No, and personally, if the county were smart, they might be leaning on them to help with recovery of that top mile.
Yeah.
That's a big if.
It's a big if, but the reality is that they have control of that property right up to the Y. They have a lease on all of that, 5,000 acres or whatever. It's a huge acreage. And so they could conceivably cut their own service road in wherever. I don't know what they plan to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with that, I'll pass this to you.
We moved over, I bought our place in Holly Kamahina in 1973. And we've lived there since 1974, so we've been there longer than most of you, but maybe I don't know what it is. But anyway, I would never want to live to any place again. I grew up in Honolulu, don't want to go back there except to visit my kids. Anyway, I just have a couple things left that I want to say that we've been using some other roads, and they are really hard on my truck. We take out a few hundred pounds of fruit 3-4 times a week. It's costing us a lot of gas. I want a shorter road, whichever way it is, whether it's whichever the one comes first, I guess is what it is. But whatever comes first, I think needs to come in very shortly. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say, but I enjoyed listening to everybody. I think my ears tell me that we're pretty much all in the same place. And that's good.
My name is Lionel Lyman. I'm the 5th generation of the Lymans that have had the Kapoho lands going back to the early 1900s. And in terms of my background, I'm of Hawaiian, Chinese, and Caucasian ancestry. I think I might be the only person of native Hawaiian ancestry here. But the lesson I learned from Hurricane Cell that I think applies to this
Oh, sorry, you're not the only, yeah.
the lesson I learned from Hurricane Cell that applies to this situation is that the community comes together and helps out. After Hurricane Cell occurred, the roads, the back roads, the railroads were cleaned up by community efforts. I'm also a board member of the Kapoho Beach Community Association. No one helped them there. They had to hire people because of the gate. But it's a clear dichotomy. If you're open to interfacing with the community, which my family has tried to do over the years, an example being Noni Farm Road meandered from our land over to land owned by Martin Anderson. Martin Anderson is the Anderson of Goodsell Anderson Quinn, the law firm on Oahu. He's also the largest owner of American ancestry of land in Africa. He had a war against people crossing his land, and I don't think there's much of his land left now. The reality is that putting a road back in is not a quick and easy thing. In 1964, my family spent a weekend down at the Kapoho Beach community because it was my brother who was graduating, going off to college. And my father took a pickaxe and dug into the 1960 flow and then threw some paper in it, smoldered. I've seen images of Jason's crack with lava and it steams. Lava is pretty darn hot, but once it solidifies, it's unfortunately a good insulator. Looking at the documentation for the realignment of 132, which I did just yesterday, the surveys were done in 1962, but don't be misled by that. The surveys were to realign it through the 1955 lava flow. The land transfers occurred in 1980. I'm not sure if the alignment occurred before or after that. The simplest thing to do is to look at how lava fields have been traversed by the state on the Kona side. And the Queen Kahumanu Highway runs through, as well as the upper highway, runs through the last eruption from Hualalai in the, I think it was early 1800s or late 1700s.
1801, I think.
The Keahole Airport was built on top of a lava field. You don't go digging through the lava, you build on top. And the simplest thing to do is to use the old alignment because you don't have to create a new alignment. You have the meets and bounds. And if there's any deviation from it, you make a field adjustment and then you take care of the alignment later on. The urgency of getting access, I think, is really preempted by something else which has been touched on but not really spoken of as a priority. It's securing your area throughout the district and without any discrimination. Places are being broken into and looted. And it's not just homes, it's beginning to be into farm areas and equipment. Securing is a quick thing to take care of. Putting the roads is a longer term thing. And immediate priority really is going to be the 2019 legislative session. I think there was a pushback from the legislature for whatever reason, and it wasn't clear as to whether it was the Senate, which was really not aligned with Governor Ige and his gubernatorial election, or the House, or both.
Both.
But it was a pushback. And the reality is that it's not going to occur until the regular session. So what you need to do is also demand that there be hearings for these matters here on this island, on this side, and not necessarily in Hilo, but I think Pahoa is a less remote area. But again, I go back to really the lesson of Hurricane Iselle. Unfortunately, the recovery from this is not going to be as quick. It's not a matter of moving trees that fell over roads. It's going to be actually probably something that takes, unfortunately, over a decade. By the way, I came over to work with the Perrys as an access way to get to 132. I'm conspiring for something up Malka.
And he would push and come out with his blade glowing, and the fire department would hose it down. So don't tell me this can't be done.
I saw the video of the 60 flow and they were pushing molten lava.
Yeah, it can be done.
It can be done. They
So
can
let's
move
do
it.
it.
They, you know.
Let's do it. Send everybody guys.
If it's private property, roads are private, it can be done. We just need to demand that county allows it so that the contractors don't get fined.
Don't we waive any lawsuits about we get hurt while we're doing it?
Yeah. What I have to make clear is because we have the misfortune of being the largest landowner to be impacted by the lava flow and having less land in the district. Bishop State has a piddling amount compared to us. We work with the county in every step of the way, because if we get out of step with them, we'll get whacked somewhere else. The other reasons for my coming down was there were some land management issues on the Mackay side, which are being taken care of with DLNR. It was not trespass. It was someone who was told they could go fishing, but they did it with gusto. They cut down a kepuka of native hala trees.
We established a petition, which I think I'll be able to bring into the November 1st meeting. And online, we've gotten 1,470 signatures. So we decided to take it as a paper petition, and these are 3 pages of papaya farmers that Paul's Repair wanted to hang on to this and get the papaya farmers and the families home to their properties. If you didn't sign online, this is just we're not trying to gain funding from anybody here. We're trying to get the county to recognize that the first road to recovery is a road. So this is signable if you haven't signed online.
Online where?
Online, change.org. Okay. I had a ghostwriter that didn't want to be mentioned that helped me start a petition. I'd never done it before, but I thought, how the heck can I help people and make a voice for Puna? So I decided to get signatures and show Harry Kim. These are, you know, thousands of, hundreds and hundreds of voices right here. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is call for a hearing so we can get this road going.
We've lost a lot of animals in that flow. And I was contacted, or I tried contacting the mayor's office to ask them to bring in ASPCA from the mainland that has a whole unit that deals with national disasters and goes place to place dealing with animal evacuation. And I found out from the gal at the zoo, Pam Mizuna, that it wasn't the mayor's office who wasn't calling, it was Humane Society that was responsible for calling in Dr. Dick Green. So I called Humane Society and I talked to their executive director, and that afternoon she made the call. But this was already June 1st. We were far behind in terms of dealing with the animal situation. And so Dick Green came over within 2 days and he started trying to help with evacuation. We still had cattle trapped in here.
The Humane Society was the first department to break into my house.
Okay, I've heard that before. It's not the first time I've heard that. But the story is that we learned a lot from the ASPCA. I wish they had been here as soon as the eruption started, because of ways that you have to act. But we were told, no, you can't capture wild cattle with a sling and lift them out with a helicopter. No, that's absolutely impossible. Well, Dick Green stayed on it because he's done it other places. And he worked with a team of people here. Axel was one of them, others. And yeah, they got the cattle, and they did it by sling. So you might have been a part of that. I don't know, but
actually, I've got
flying over our house.
Yeah, oh, I know.
They sent. Have you talked to Darcy Nabriga?
No.
Okay, he's getting no help from anyone. Yet he lost over 150 head of cattle.
Yeah, I heard around 200.
But get this, they sent inspectors down to all the orchids and orchid farmers, and they took inventory before the lava inundated. He asked them to come out and take inventory of his cattle, and they never did. And now they're like, prove it. Prove that you had live cattle out there. Even the Cattlemen's Association out of New York City said that they would help.
That is distressing, and he should turn to...
His problem was that they had the cattle amongst a lot of felled trees and they couldn't get in for a count.
Yeah, a whole month
they couldn't get in for a count. That's what he just said. And just so you know, yes, they did inventory the orchid farmers.
And the papaya farms.
Right.
But right now...
They're not helping.
Well, they're helping, but
they got paid
please let me finish. The orchid grower that was at council yesterday telling his story got 5% in the USDA loan or grants or whatever they give for relief for crop loss. He got 5% of the value of his orchid inventory. So that's kind of hard to start over again with just 5%. His inventory was worth $2 million. So just to understand, there are no easy answers here. There's no quick money, and ultimately, there's no funding for any of this right now. No funding for this road rebuild that we're talking about. But if we don't start that fire now, it will not happen. And there is money out there that can be obtained and can be allocated to this. So I brought up that story because when people say no, I always go, really? There isn't a way? And that's kind of where I'm at here. There could be a way. Lono just expressed how you can go over the lava, and it's a whole lot cheaper to do so.
Well, that's what the state did in Kona.
Yeah, that's what the state did in Kona. It's what they were actually talking about doing with the Malamakina, I think,
And that's what we did in our hui.
So there are less expensive ways to approach the problem, but we need to get your voices unified in making this request, because the county has gone off into this housing effort, which we need affordable housing on this island. Don't get me wrong, we need it every day of the week, every year. But right now, we need access to our properties, and we need to get people back on the properties, working the land, doing the agriculture that you used to do to provide the food to our communities, and also to hopefully regain some access to fishery. That's another big problem that we have. These are 3 economic drivers, folks, down here in Lower Puna, were fishery, agriculture, and short-term vacation rentals, which made a lot of jobs besides just bringing in tourists. And Greg, I know you have in your mind this 500 to 1,000 car scenario, how they're going to do the big loop. I don't know how accurate R&D's numbers are, because you know what they put together? They told us that we only lost 39 short-term vacation rentals due to lava. I think it's more like 390. So I doubt whether that is accurate. But before that, I live on the beach road down here on Papia Street where it's paved in Hawaiian Shores. And I get to watch all those tourists. Because you can tell the tourist cars, they're always the brightly colored nice ones, right? And I see them all go down the road, and 40 minutes later they all come back. Because they've gone down, they've looked at the lava, it really isn't all that interesting. Really, it's a wall of lava. Yeah, and they look at it, maybe they climb up on the top, there's a nice established trail now. But they come back, and so they're doing 2 trips on the government beach road now. Just letting you know.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
My family is of Hawaiian ancestry, and this place is dear to us. And I just want to hope everyone realizes the sacredness of the area where you call home. You know, it's not really ours, and there's still allodial titles that are in question, that could be questioned, but I know that everyone here loves where we are, because there's no way we cannot love it. It is absolutely beautiful. And it's from first migration places, and I encourage you to learn about the areas where you're from, because many first migration places on the Puna coast, it's the Marquesans that got here a couple hundred years before the Tahitians arrived. And look at maps, read books. Place Names of Hawaii by Mary Kavena Pukui is beautiful with the Hawaii state map, and you can find out a lot from that. And just know about what your area is all about, what it's famous for. The name will help tell you. Kalua Waiapele, the pit of the fresh water of Pele. There's places that have been taken now, held forever in the embrace of the deities. And, you know, they were beautiful and they were honored. And I think we need to keep those places alive in our hearts and share the stories. If Kupuna told you stories about those places, that's important to keep. And I just want everyone to, you know, be united in solidarity, that we all love this place that is not ours. And my proposal would be to use railroad. And that could be the thoroughfare, because of all the sacred places along the ocean here. I mean, we've lost 8 already in this last eruption, and there's many more on this side that are so beautiful, and we need to protect them. And I think by having more traffic come down here, that it would, you know, put it in a compromised position of people tromping around and, you know, pull one stone out of a stone wall and the whole thing will collapse in. So I think we have a better option than the beach road. Mahalo for listening, you folks. I wish you aloha, ahui ho.